ask me whether deflation is good or bad, if you ask me about taxes, it would be total fakery if I said I knew anything about any of those things. What interested Levitt were the stuff and riddles of everyday life. His investigations were a feast for anyone wanting to know how the world really works. His singular attitude was evoked in Dubner's resulting article. As Levitt sees it, economics is a science with excellent tools for gaining answers, but a serious shortage of interesting questions. His particular gift is the ability to ask such questions. For instance, if drug dealers make so much money, why do they still live with their moms? Which is more dangerous, a gun or a swimming pool? What really caused crime rates to plunge during the past decade? Do real estate agents have their clients' best interest at heart? Why do black parents give their children names that may hurt their career prospects? Do school teachers cheat to meet high-stakes testing standards? Is sumo wrestling corrupt? And how does a homeless man in tattered clothing afford $50 headphones? Many people, including a fair number of his peers, might not recognize Levitt's work as economics at all. But he has merely distilled the so-called dismal science to its most primal aim, explaining how people get what they want. Unlike most academics, he is unafraid of using personal observations and curiosities. He is also unafraid of anecdote and storytelling, but he is afraid of calculus. He is an intuitionist. He sifts through a pile of data to find a story that no one else has found. He figures a way to measure an effect that veteran economists had declared unmeasurable. His abiding interests, though he says he has never trafficked in them himself, are cheating, corruption, and crime. The New York Times Magazine, August 3, 2003. Levitt's blazing curiosity also proved attractive to thousands of New York Times readers. He was beset by questions and queries, riddles and requests from General Motors and the New York Yankees and U.S. senators, but also from prisoners and parents and a man who for 20 years had kept precise data on the sale of bagels. A former Tour de France champion called Levitt to ask his help in proving that the current tour is rife with doping. The Central Intelligence Agency wanted to know how Levitt might use data to catch money launderers and terrorists. What they were all responding to was the force of Levitt's underlying belief that the modern world, despite a surplus of obfuscation, complication, and downright deceit, is not impenetrable, is not unknowable, and, if the right questions are asked, is even more intriguing than we think. All it takes is a new way of looking. In New York City, the publishers were telling Levitt he should write a book. Write a book, he said? I don't want to write a book. He already had 1 million more riddles to solve than time to solve them. Nor did he think of himself as much of a writer. So he said that no, he wasn't interested, unless, he proposed, maybe Dubner and I could do it together. Collaboration isn't for everyone, but the two of them, henceforth known as the two of us, decided to talk things over to see if such a book might work. We decided it could. We hope you agree. Preface to the Revised and Expanded Edition. As we were writing Freakonomics, we had grave doubts that anyone would actually read it, and we certainly never envisioned the need for this revised and expanded edition, but we are happy and grateful to have been proven wrong. So why bother with a revised edition? There are a few reasons. The first is that the world is a living, breathing, changing thing, whereas a book is not. Once an author finishes a manuscript, it is forced to sit, dead in the water, for nearly a year until it is made ready by its publisher for its debut. This doesn't pose much of a problem if you have written, say, a history of the Third Punic War, but because Freakonomics explores all sorts of modern, real-world issues, and because the modern world tends to change quite fast, we've gone through the book and made a number of minor updates. Also, we made some mistakes. It was usually a reader who would bring a mistake to our attention, and we very much appreciate this input. Again, most of these changes are quite minor. The most aggressively revised section of this book is the beginning of Chapter 2, which tells a story of one man's crusade against the Ku Klux Klan. Several months after Freakonomics was first published, it was brought to our attention that this man's portrayal